I'm Daniel Ting Chong. I'm an independent designer based in Cape Town. I work out of co-shared studio in Woodstock. I've been kind of in the industry for quite a while. I predominantly do like brand identity stuff, but also kind of work on apparel, digital kind of projects. It kind of varies all the time. I studied at Vega, and then after there I went to a small design studio called The President, and then from there I decided to go independent. And now it's been about 12 to 13 years being independent, which is cool. And yeah, super like fortunate and blessed to still be independent at this point. I think when I left The President, I just decided that I was still quite young then. I think I was maybe 21, 22, and I'm now like 30, turning 32 this year, something like that. Yeah. I just decided like I didn't have anything to lose really. Like there's not really like the best time to go independent. You kind of have to like dive in the deep end and like make it work. I've always kind of been fascinated by sports, I think like growing up. So I played basketball. I played a lot of sport growing up. So I did like athletics, I did cricket, hockey, all that kind of stuff. The basketball's always been something that's close to my heart. So I play for the local Chinese community in Observatory since I was 11. And I've just always been grown up like here, like obviously like Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, all the Bulls, kind of like that era. And also the culture that comes with it, so like sneakers, the music, that whole kind of thing always fascinates me and kind of drives and like is distilled in my work or in some way. And when I went independent, like one of the first things that was like a goal was like always to work with like a sportswear brand. And that was something that I really tried to push. So like from Nike, Puma, Adi, there's always been a project with them somewhere along the way in my career, and it's just the work that I really enjoy doing. And for some reason, once you do, I often find like the things that work outside of your discipline often inspire you the most, and that's almost like the work that you kind of want to do and you get. So it kind of works out some ways like that. I think it's always exciting to see anyone start a new business, especially in South Africa. So that's always, for me, it's like such a rewarding thing working on startup businesses, to see that people like believe in entrepreneurship and they want to believe in their dreams, which is like really fulfilling for me first. And then like the storytelling is probably the best part about any brand identity. I think a lot of people get fixated on making like a beautiful logo and a word mark, which is all stuff you need, but the spine of any brand identity is a story, and I think what was great about what you guys are doing there is that backbone. With the name msizi, I think it's beautiful. It pays homage to like Zulu culture and helper, which is what you guys facilitate for, which I think is really great. And coming to me with that story helped like a good leverage block for conceptual thinking, which is nice. So it's like, how do you now create an identity for something that doesn't exist, obviously, but it needs to be like visually appealing, but also like fundamentally work as a system, like at a small scale, big scale, the typography, color all needs to kind of communicate a certain tonality. And I need to kind of think what you might like as well. So often when I'm designing stuff, I often think of the people that I'm making it for, and I think about their personalities and what they're into. So obviously I know a lot about yourself and Mario, and I know what you're into and the music you listen to, and everything that you kind of connect with and it resonates with you. And I think I'm fortunate because I think we kind of aligned on a lot of those things. So in itself, like I'm making it for you, but also for me. And a lot of the work I need to be fulfilled with it as well. But mostly that I know if I'm kind of happy with it, then you will hopefully be happy too. I think a lot of people it will raise a lot of hairs, especially for identity work. So in the industry, most people, when they do brand identities, they will present 3 logos, sometimes 5 logos with different directions. And for me, I just don't think that's really like a conducive way for like creative process. So why I do this is like, if I had to present 3, I only really like 1, and I present 3 to you, you might like half of direction 1, half of direction 2, a little bit of 3, and then want to see that. And then that kind of bottlenecks the whole process where you're doing iterations and iterations. So like from 3 identities, you can produce like 5, 6 variants after that. and then you just prolong the whole process. And I think for anyone that's starting a new business, time is so important, and that's money essentially. And the longer you have your brand identity prolonged, it's also like it hinders the business slightly.
Yeah.
So having one direction, I think it also built a trust between the designer and the client, where you're trusting the designer that's going to do diligence. And for me, like I go through like a thorough process of like distilling what's working, what's not working, and then presenting that. And I also think it's nice for the client to be like, when the designer is fully backed on a direction, it's like they really like this, so it has that trust. Because a client's coming to you for your opinion or your kind of approach to something. If you kind of go, oh, I like one, I like direction two, the designer almost seems unsure of their own work and themselves. So I think some people needed someone to be quite decisive about the process, which I think is good. And not to say that like it always goes like super well, client signs off first time, like in our case, thank goodness. But when there are reverts on the one direction, you at least can manage it. So it's like, okay, what do I not like about direction one? Is it the type, the color, or the word mark? Then you can refine that, as opposed to going, okay, maybe I like direction 1 and 2, can I see what that looks like? And direction 3 and 2. So I just feel like it's more conducive for the whole process. Funny, when I started out independent, I was doing a lot more like illustration work. So a lot of like monoline iconography kind of work. And I think through that process, just understanding software and like the way you can visually communicate something with like only a few lines, like helped a lot to get to where I am now. But over the last maybe 3 or 4 years, I've been doing a lot of identity work. Somehow it's kind of funneled that way. And what was funny was like, I was doing a lot of illustration work in the beginning, and I kind of got tired of it, and I took a lot of that work off my website because I didn't want to do that work anymore. And I actually wanted to do more design work.
Wow,
And then I was doing a lot of brand identity work, and then I got tired of that, and I was like, okay, maybe I should go back to illustration a little bit because I'm getting tired of like doing identity. But now it's kind of organically kind of fallen into place where I get a mixture of like different projects. And I think I only decided to do like this one direction process maybe like only maybe 2-3 years ago, I think.
That's super fresh. Do you think it came with that seed?
I think I struggled with the process on when you do more than one. I don't know. I would actually, it's actually like good day to just check like when I decided to do that one direction process. And actually, funny enough, now that I think of, there was one client that came to me when I presented one. They were like, actually, thank you so much for presenting one. It's much easier for us to manage, and we trust you. And that was like a thing that like validated the whole process for me. So yeah, it's very difficult to be like confident with what you do, but I think as an independent or any creative, you actually like have to just believe in your work and what you're doing is like the right thing.
Back yourself, and then people will trust you.
It's like you can't, if you're not confident about your work, then people can see that in a way, and then the client feels nervous about the work. I always think of like Muhammad Ali, like how arrogant he was, and he was a great boxer, but I think like he was also so great because he was so arrogant. Because like he believed in himself that like he was unbeatable. Which,
that's a word.
I'm
taking that one. No, like it's so true, and I think for us, or for me rather, I can't speak for someone else, but for me, starting msizi and just going with this was in effect backing myself, like I believe in what I'm doing, and then also to trust you as well.
Thank you.
No, it was awesome for me because I was like, you also, I could feel that you got the vision and you got the heart, and that you were gonna, and from working with what you've given us for like about a month, 2 months, it's been super awesome, like I said earlier, to see how the brand is taking shape and going. And I think a lot of people resonate with what you put together, so thank you so much.
No, thank you. I think it's like a combination of like good clients and like trusting the designer. But also what's fulfilling for me is like, sometimes with certain clients I manage all the collateral, but what was great about working with you guys is that I handed you a bunch of assets, and now you've organically used it in your own way.
That's really
which for me is like really rewarding when I can see like the client or like you guys are using the assets in your own way, and then it takes on a whole nother life that I wouldn't have done.